Alright guys, we are going to try to stay as civil as possible throughout this video, but I apologize in advance for anything that may come out of this video because what did I just watch on my TV? My beloved Thunder just lost a game in the playoffs by 35 points. 35 points. Game 1 was really not that much better, losing that game by 21, or however much it was more than 20. Basically what's going on in this series is Serge Ibaka's absence is, actually playing way bigger of a role than I think anyone possibly expected. Game 1, the Spurs scored, what was it, like 66 points in the paint. Tonight, again, they scored over 50. This is a team that only averages 40 points per game in the paint throughout the season. So Serge is definitely a big loss right now. Bigger than I expected, at least. On the defensive end. Now, to put it simply, I don't understand Scott Brooks' thought process at all. We got destroyed in Game 1. Came out with the same starting lineup. Came out with almost the same exact rotation. Why? You don't do that. The Spurs are a team that will take advantage of terrible coaching, because Popovich is the best coach in the NBA. Scott Brooks, you can't come out with the same starting lineup. Game 3, this starting lineup has got to change. It has got to change. Nick Collison, great player. He's a bench player. He can't start. He cannot start anymore in this series. We will get swept if Nick Collison starts in every game in the series. He's a hustle bench player for a reason. That's what he makes his money for. Bring him in off the bench. It's okay, you started him in the first game. I would have done the same, but after that patheticness that happened in Game 1, I wouldn't have started him in this game. We need to put somebody else in there that can score. Because Collison has 2 points in this series right now. And that's just not going to cut it for a starting player at all. What I would do, I would insert Steven Adams into the starting lineup over Collison. Start Perkins and Adams. The Spurs do it. Works well for them with the two bigs in Duncan and Splitter. We need to combat that and go big with Adams and Perkins. Two big intimidators in there. That's just what has to be done. Now, the same thing can be said about Sefolosha. Sefolosha has gone 2 games in this series without scoring a point. That's 2 starters in 2 games, and they have under 10 points combined in both games. That's just not acceptable in the playoffs. So, what I would do if you want to leave Caron Butler in with the bench group, go for it. You can start Lamb. Lamb can put the ball in the basket. Sefolosha also is not playing defense. Tony Parker is getting to the lane at will on him anyway. So, defense fucking schmefence right now, because he's not playing that either. Just put Lamb or Butler in the starting lineup over Sefolosha, because he ain't doing shit for us right now, and he needs to be taken out of this series completely, I feel like. Because he's not scoring the ball, he's not defending them. What the fuck is he good for? Absolutely nothing. Bench his ass. Get rid of him in the off-season. He's getting too old to defend these fast point guards now. He needs to go. He needs to be gone. It's time to let Jeremy Lamb develop. He's a good player. He has size and wingspan. It's time to let him go. Let Sefolosha go. Let Lamb get the playing time that he deserves. He proves it in the regular season. Let him play in the postseason now. I know this may seem crazy and redundant. Westbrook is he's shooting too much. He was 2 of 12 in the first half, and to start the third quarter, he came in out of halftime and started chucking up desperation threes. Desperation threes are not needed in the third quarter. Desperation threes are not needed by a player that is shooting 2 for 12 from the field. That's all I'm going to say about Westbrook. Durant struggled tonight. He did. I'll admit that. KD definitely struggled tonight. He only had 15 points. I think he shot like 6 for 16. There's going to be nights where that happens. But he needs to be the one. He needs to take us. If we're going to advance without Ibaka, he has to be the one taking the shots, not Westbrook. Westbrook took more shots than Durant again tonight. That is not okay. I am not okay with that at all. Westbrook needs to be sat down and told, your shot attempts have to be lower than Durant. It is the playoffs. Durant is the MVP. You are not. You need to take a back seat to Durant right now. I feel like this has to be told to him every year. Or every series, even now at this point. Every game, almost. Durant has to. Durant is the league's MVP for a reason. He has to take the most shots on this team. It is not rocket science. So, this is what I'm looking at for Game 3. I am looking at Westbrook, Butler, Durant, Adams, and Perkins as the starting 5. I am looking at better defense in the paint. We need to stop the Spurs from scoring in the paint, or it's just not going to be pretty. We're going to continue losing by 20 or more. And then our perimeter defense, we have to close out. Danny Green is good, but he's not this good. He's not 7 for 10 on threes good. He is not a 20-point scorer. He is not that good. We need to close out better. But I believe that putting these two bigs in the starting lineup will help, because we won't need our perimeter defenders to help on the inside if we have the two bigs in the starting lineup. Although they were helping a lot even with Collison in, and Collison's a big too, so I don't know. It just, something has to change, because the way this series is looking, it's looking like a sweep. I know 2012, the Spurs were up 2-0, and the Thunder came back and won 4 games in a row, but this series is just so different. We don't have Ibaka or... I almost just said or Harden. Harden was big in that series, though, in 2012. We don't have Ibaka, so it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. But I think if we come out strong in Game 3 and win Game 3, we can definitely still make a series out of this. We have to win Game 3. If we don't win Game 3, we're getting swept. If we win Game 3, it can be a long series. And if we make it a long series, I think we have a shot. So it all starts with Game 3. Now, I originally wasn't going to talk any about the East, but I will, briefly. The Pacers came out strong in Game 1. They won Game 1. Game 2, they were looking good. They were looking real good. But I don't know what happened on the stretch. They just collapsed and lost. And now Paul George's status is unknown for Game 3 because he got a concussion in Game 2, which is, yeah, that's a big. Even though he didn't show up in Game 2 at all and they still almost won, Paul George being out that's... Even if he's not scoring, he's usually a solid defender. That's going to be tough. Tough life for the Pacers. So hopefully Paul George can play. He can overcome this concussion thing that he's got going on. Since there is, you know, like 4 days between games now. Which gives both Oklahoma City and Indiana plenty of time to recuperate, recover, think, practice, come up with good strategy situations for Game 3. Because, let's be honest, nobody wants a repeat of last year's finals. No. Nobody wants Miami and San Antonio again. Nobody wants that. No. Because you want to know what's going to happen if we get that? Miami is going to fucking win again. We don't want that. We don't want San Antonio and Miami. No. Bad. So this is what we need for Game 3s in each series. Like I had already stated before about the Thunder, we need that those switches to the starting lineup, they have to happen. We cannot go out with the same starting lineup again. We won't score enough. Better defense in the paint. We need to put those big bodies in the paint and just stop them. Even if we have to foul and scare them from driving and scare them from getting into the paint, do it. Foul them hard. Injure players if you have to. If this is what we have to do to win, injure someone. Injure Tony Parker. That's mean. But if that's what it comes down to, that's what it comes down to. And for the Pacers, we need Paul George. Paul George, man the fuck up. Play. Play Game 3. Concussions, they're bad, but deal with it. It's the playoffs. Your team needs you. And Paul George, if you do play, play. None of this 4 for 16 from the field bullshit. You are a superstar in this league. Prove it. Roy Hibbert has been playing big against Miami, as expected, since they have absolutely nobody to defend him. Lance Stevenson has been big. David West has been big too. So if Paul George, Lance Stevenson, and Roy Hibbert, all three of them play big, I think Indiana can steal Game 3 in Miami and get home court back. That's all I have for today. I think I stayed rather hostile, rather calm. That's what I meant to say. I stayed rather calm in this video. And that's all I got for tonight. Okay, bye.